Hello, everybody. Today we're sitting with another legend, and if you like music at all, you might have heard his name. He has over 600 million views on YouTube, gathered throughout 340 videos. His name is Jonathan Young, and he's very well known for making covers of popular songs from anime or Disney shows. But there's way more than meets the eye in this man. So I had to sit down with him and have a conversation to ask him about his process and his advice for fellow creators, also about his newest album. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. I think it's going to be very useful if you're a musician, but also if you are someone who wants to start a YouTube channel. So enjoy. Hi, John.
Hello.
So
How's it going, Alex?
all great, man. How about you?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm doing all right. I have been looking forward to talking to you. This is for everybody listening. This is actually my first time talking to Alex, even though we've gone back and forth on social media a lot.
I've been wanting to do this for a long time because I told you, like, there's so much more with you, with the stuff you have to say musically, but also with outside of music, besides, you know, the Disney anime covers and video game covers, which are amazing. But for example, John came out with his album like this year, which is the hypest album of the year. It's you know, the Galactikraken album is called Starship Velociraptor, which just from the name is gonna stick with you. And man, that album is so daring. It's so beautiful. It's very I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't heard it, but there's so many key changes that are like, whoa. That's the first thing you notice when you listen to the first track.
And Alex, if that's the first thing that a composer of your caliber says about the album, that means that I have succeeded.
Yeah,
if the first thing that you say is there's so many key changes.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
That's good.
The thing that I see in Starship Velociraptor is like you have this the lyrics you've wrote are freaking amazing, and the performance is great, and the bass lines, like in
thank you, man.
Jetpack Race is like a freaking banger and stuff. But dude, like the level of fun that you're having is, you know, it's crazy. Like I can feel it. Like even in the way you sing and stuff. I'm not a singer, but I feel like there's so many like embellishments and inflections and like, you know, double vocals and harmonizations everywhere. Like there's not a single moment where you're bored. Like it's all like going fucking crazy. So it's beautiful. It's and it's also very different. Man. Like it's like all original work, right?
Yeah, 100%. The only thing that I didn't do by myself on that album was Ninja Brian's
that's amazing. Oh my god.
And then I got like a couple friends. I asked a couple people for some mix advice. I was thinking about hiring somebody else to mix the album for me, and the further I got into it, I was like, I'm too close to this. I'm too close to this project. I have to just do it myself. Yeah. But yeah, man, thank you so much for the kind words.
Dude, thank you for the album. Like it's a win for artists worldwide. Like I think we're like you come from a family of musicians, right? Like your whole family is musicians?
Yeah, I mean, not like professional musicians, but I definitely I was definitely surrounded by people that supported that and encouraged that growing up. So I don't, I don't really take credit for any of that. Like it's, and I've mentioned this many times before. I think probably every time that I do some kind of an interview, which is not very often, I always mention that I really believe that music is a skill, and you can learn it just like you would learn any other skill.
Man, preach it.
And I think that that's so important because, and I mean, you're a music theory guy. You're
no. Actually, I'm not.
Okay. Well,
you're gonna like my origin story. I'm gonna tell you later, but.
Okay. We can get into like technical music talk later. But you come off as a music theory guy because whether you were trained in music theory or not, you understand all of the concepts. You know, and I think that music. I was talking to Caleb on his show the other day, and I think that music is in this strange position where it has become really shrouded in mysticism.
Oh yeah,
I guess.
Yeah.
Like I think that's the right way to put it. Where like, if like I brought this example up again, like every time that I talk about this subject, like if you want to train to be a gourmet cook, which is another fine art.
It's art, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, like you have to train. Like you have to learn how to do that stuff. You have to learn how to cook meat. You have to learn how all these different culinary tools work, what all these different spices are, and how you're supposed to, do all these things, all these different tools.
Yeah.
And even also with like a lot of visual art. Like if you want to be able to paint something, you need to understand how the laws of light and shadow work.
Yeah, it's all things that you can like
the
you can
horizon
learn
and
with long times of practice and like many years. And music is no different.
And that's but a lot of people in Western culture, I think, have lost sight of that. They think that music is something that magically just, like I wake up and I had a tough childhood and suddenly I just get blessed with this. with suddenly I can sing. It's like, man, you should hear recordings of me from 7 years ago when I first started really getting into singing. I sucked.
So
and
you're
my
like
writing
you're
back then
originally
sucked.
a drummer, right? Like that's your how you started.
Well, as a child, I was a drummer, and then my whole family did a lot of singing. Like even like at like Christmas and stuff, that was just like a big part of our family was just singing.
That's cool, man.
Which I was very lucky to be a part of that. And being around that and learning it. And I took piano lessons growing up, and I sort of started dabbling into all of these different instruments. And I wanted to start a band, and I couldn't really find the right people.
Yeah.
So I would end up like having a drummer, but not, and having a bassist, but no guitarist. So then I would just start teaching myself guitar.
Yeah.
Or I would like, so I ended up just kind of learning all these things because I got sick of waiting for the right people to come along.
Right. So I have 2 questions on this. And by the way, like for people listening, if it sounds like I'm interrupting John, probably it's like maybe there's a bit of lag with the internet, or maybe I'm an asshole. I'm interested in the person I'm talking with.
You're good, man. You're good.
I have this reputation of interrupting my guests with questions because I'm always like, oh my God, I need to ask about this. For example, like,
I don't care.
I completely agree on the stuff with the music and the mysticism. And a big reason why I do I have a channel where I make tutorials, and I have a channel where I make like video game music analysis. I like to take this mysticism and kind of break it and tell people, hey, this is how it works, and in a very intuitive way. And I'm trying to be the bridge that leads more people to be like, hey, I'm making music is a cool idea. But why do you think it became like that? Why do you think it became like?
That's a good question. I've thought about this a lot, and I think that it's a long rabbit hole. And we could talk in circles about like the causality of this problem.
I have my ideas as well, but I wonder like what
so
you...
I think it's a combination of capitalism and ego. So once our culture started to realize how much money could be made off of an iconic musician, like if you look back to like the days of like the Beatles and Elvis and like these like people that became these
superstars,
cultural icons, these superstars, that hadn't happened very much prior to the 1920s, 1930s, and then it just started ramping up as soon as you hit like the first like rock and roll, and then it becomes this cultural movement where these faces become the face of a cultural revolution. They become the face that represents rebelling against your parents, or the face that represents these groups of people that finally feel like they have a voice through a new style of music that represents a new group of people. And then this slippery slope gets made worse by these corporations that have gotten bigger and bigger and bigger over the course of the past 100 years, that they see those dollar signs and they start pushing it. You know what I mean? And then they start trying to manufacture superstars and making it this whole big thing where you make it about, well, what clothes are the rock stars wearing, and what cigarettes are the rock stars smoking, and all this nonsense that they pile on. And then it becomes, we get to this point of no return where music, the act of making music in our culture has turned into this,
like a show, kind of.
More than that, though, it's also like it's more of a statement of ego, and it's more of a fashion thing, than it is about the actual craftsmanship of the music itself. Like the people that want to become, like, whether it's pop stars or rock stars or punk rockers or whatever, like, normally those people are out there to make some kind of a statement, whether that's a statement of how fashionable and trendy they are, or of how counterculture they are. And it becomes more about that egoism, I guess,
rather than
it is
the music
about
itself.
Yeah, like the actual, like, what notes are you playing? And that, like, that doesn't really happen in, like, the degree to which that happens in other art fields, it's so much less. Like, how many dancers can you name off the top of your head?
Yeah,
you know,
that's right.
like how many architects, how many sculptors, how many animators? You know, like we've made it more about the people and less about the craft, and I really don't like that.
And also the thing is that these people sometimes are crafted themselves. Like they're like, oh, I'm gonna have this brand that caters to, you know, this type of fan and creates this response and sells this thing, and it's not natural. So and that, like, the problem with that, and I completely agree with all of this. The problem with that is that then normal people feel like, oh, yeah, I can make music, but I'm not special, like, I don't know, Billie Eilish or something. And maybe Billie Eilish is not one of these people. I don't know, like, because it's very hard to tell which ones are the brands who are, you know, just want to make music and stay true to themselves, and which ones are the ones who are manufactured. But as a person, maybe you feel like, oh, I'm not special because I don't have like this marketing team behind me. I don't have all this cool, like, clothes or whatever. And then that's kind of why.
And that raises a really good point, man, because as soon as music became about the personalities rather than the art, music became very inaccessible for people that aren't trend and fashion oriented. And that was one big thing that, like, I was a weirdo when I first started making music. Like, I was not a popular kid growing up.
Weren't we all? I think this is all content creators, right?
Yeah, but I also wasn't punk enough to be, like, anti-fashion. I still, like, wanted to fit in. I wasn't quite, like, edgy enough to be, like, in the edgy music fashion whatever statement. Yeah. So, like, I found myself feeling this immense amount of pressure, like social pressure, of feeling like I needed to, like, dress a certain way in order to be a full-time singer. And that's just so stupid. Dude, you know what I mean?
I felt when I was young.
I hate that so much.
When I was young, I felt like, it's going to sound so fucking stupid, but same thing. Like, it's like these RPG classes, right? Hey, you have to be either D&D class. You have to be this or that, or, you know, you're black, you have to wear hip-hop clothes because otherwise you can't be anything.
That's a good
like,
point.
I couldn't, you know, I was listening to video game soundtracks when I was growing up. But in my MP3, do you remember the MP3 players without the screen where you can only cycle the songs? In the beginning of the MP3, I only had, like, rap songs. And then at the end, I had the video game music that I like to listen to. And when people asked me to borrow it, I would put it back in the beginning so people won't listen to rap songs. And they didn't know. There's this layer of Super Mario music or something. And I was trying so hard to fit in because, like, you really start to believe that, hey, the only way I can get accepted by people is to just have this image determined by someone else and not just me. And that sucks because maybe
I'm glad you brought that up, man, because I think there are, like, a lot of these factors, like this sort of like systemic racism and also like some sexism that like comes into play. Like I'm not the right person to speak on this, but like what I can speak to is
I think everybody can speak about this. Honestly.
Well, like being a rock musician, I have felt a lot of masculine pressure.
Oh man, yeah, I can imagine.
And because, and I mentioned this, you know, I've mentioned this a couple times on social media and whatever, but like, especially in America, the rock music community in America is obsessed with being hyper masculine, and everything has to be super aggressive, and everything has to be super tough and angry.
Yeah,
and
it's not interesting at all.
Yeah, and that's part of what that was part of what was going through my head when I started coming up with these ideas for Starship Velociraptor. Is I felt like all these rock musicians in this country and in this culture have like forgotten how to have fun because they're too focused on this social masculinity complex.
Like they have to fit a certain idea, like we felt when we were like young. Like we're still young, but when we felt we were babies or something. Yeah. And what happens to the people who don't do it? So what was your experience when you released Starship Velociraptor and you really started to like, because with your covers still, I feel that your covers have a lot of personality, that, you know, your personality shines through them. But
I mean,
Starship,
I appreciate that.
Yeah, dude, like for example, I don't know if you, because again, you can tell what are a content creator's most passionate work. Sometimes it's hard unless you're, you know, in his shoes or something. But when I heard the Skyrim theme with Caleb Hiles, that one that was so cool, you know.
Thank you.
It was kind of manly like that, but it looked like you guys were having a lot of fun. And a lot of, you know, again, the thing that stands out the most, maybe people may say, oh, the vocals were so good and stuff. No, the thing that stands out the most to me in that track is the guitar feels. Like there's a and then there's the guitar does or something like that. You do this interesting feels. Dude, that's so fucking cool, you know. And in Starship Velociraptor, you have so many feels like that, even with your vocals, where you go crazy like or something. I'm like, whoa, that's you. Yeah, I really feel you don't give a shit. You just do your thing, right? That's beautiful.
Yeah, and. So, something that one of my good friends, Brandon, 16 in Mono, he does some production work for me on my covers. Something that he said to me that really like hit me really hard right after I released the album. He's like, John, you know what I realized listening to this album? You're always at 30% when you do covers.
Yeah.
And when you did this album, you were at 100%.
Yeah.
And I can see that.
I completely agree
and
with that.
I was like, yeah, that I kind of hurt a little bit, but I was like, that hurts in a good way. You know what I mean?
Dude. Yeah, dude. Well, you know, better late than never. You know, it's very good that you released this.
I don't want to like get ahead of myself because I know that we got a lot of good questions that were kind of on this topic.
Don't worry. Just don't worry. Just let it out. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, the thing for me, man, is it's hard to explain this to people who
don't make music,
who don't make music, but the closest way that I can describe it is that. So first of all, to your point about like the Skyrim cover, how like my personality and my musicianship is still shining through. The really sad thing that I realized is that a lot of times people don't care.
Yeah, I've noticed that as well.
Or you know, which came first, the chicken or the egg? Whether it's that people don't care or that the clickbait world doesn't care, or that YouTube algorithm.
You see, what I think is like people care, but they care about stuff that they can comprehend. So
yeah, and it's also like so basically what I'm getting at is that what I started to notice the longer that I did cover songs is I would be behind schedule and I would be like, or maybe I would be sick a week or something. I told this story to someone just the other day, like my Tokyo Ghoul Unravel cover. I was sick the day that we filmed that video. I was really sick, and I was sick recording the vocals.
Damn.
And it's funny because at the end of the song, my voice cracks and it sounds like I'm about to cry. That's because I was sick. And but
Rock and roll.
More importantly, because I was sick, I was miserable. I didn't want to be out at the studio I was renting at the time. I wanted to go home and sleep. So I said to my cameraman at the time, I was like, I want to be done with this in 30 minutes. Like, turn the camera on, and I'm just gonna, like, we're gonna get one take, and we're gonna be done, and we're gonna rush this, and because I gotta go home and sleep. And nobody could tell the difference between the amount of time or like how much we rushed and how little effort we put into that versus how much effort I put into the videos like the Skyrim theme or the Pokemon theme. I can give you an example
of like that. Like, so I totally understand this. Because, man, like, you see sometimes I publish bass clips on Twitter, like 15 seconds of funky
I love
remix
those.
or something. Yeah, they're so much fun to make and stuff. And I like them as well because I still think that bass is underrated. I like stuff that is underrated.
Oh, yeah.
You know? And
oh yeah.
So I really like to do that because I'm like, hey, check out bass is pretty cool. But, you know, before everything, I'm an orchestral composer. I used to make music for movie trailers for stuff like Avengers Endgame and blah, blah, for Hollywood. And that's like my big love is orchestration and big, beautiful, complex orchestral music. And so I write that as well with a certain quality because I've worked in that field. And I've noticed many times that when I spend, I don't know, 2 hours learning a bass line and publishing 15 seconds of it on Twitter, it can become viral. It can get crazy. Like your solo from, Jetpack Race. But then maybe you pay someone to make a full animated video and you write a full song, you publish the full song and no one gives a shit. Me, I write a full orchestration that is like way more meticulously made and complex than a 15 seconds bass line. I publish it and no one fucking cares. So I don't think people care about the value or the effort or the quality. They care more about...
I think that... like, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I think that like a lot of that is this culture and like profit-driven art that we've this era. Like, there's a lot of good things that the internet has done for artists. We could talk about the pros of that for a long time, like about how the internet allows guys like us to make music and post it directly to our fans.
Yeah, it's great.
And there's no record labels, there's no middlemen, there's no gatekeepers. We just make the music and deliver it directly to the people who want to hear it. That's great. But what that also does is this whole internet social media thing creates this climate where everyone is always posting trying. And with that, it becomes this huge rat race where everyone is always competing for the attention of all these potential viewers.
Yeah.
And what that does is basically the cheapest and quickest and fastest way that you can get someone to watch whatever you post is always going to win out in that rat race above something that somebody spends 6 months of love and care on.
Short form content that interrupts your scrolling, but not for too long.
Right.
Really.
And it has to be short form content that you know that you're going to enjoy before you even click on it.
So
you know
no
what
intro,
I mean?
just oh god. Yeah, that's the reason for the covers and stuff, right?
Yeah, because if somebody just sees, Jonathan Young music video, like, they have no way of knowing if they're going to like that or not unless they know who I am. But if somebody sees, like, what if Dark Souls was a funky bass song, you immediately start to think, like, whoa, what if that was like that? And it's this weird, like our caveman brains just go into overdrive and start, like...
So there's no mystery of like being like, there's this new album by this band called Muse, and the album art is weird. I don't know what it means, but let's listen to it. It's gone. Like
there's no discovery and there's no room for creativity because you basically have to pull someone with something that they already like. And what that does is it centralizes everything into these big franchises, these big company-owned sequels and movies and characters and all this stuff, or video games or whatever. And basically, So it's a double-edged sword, because now anybody can make music, but if you're not making songs about
Something that people
Minecraft
relate to,
or
yeah.
cover songs,
So what do you think is
then,
like the solution, like for a musician? Like one solution is to just play the game, and if you play the game, you can be very
Right.
successful with it, because
Right.
the rules are not so hard to understand, and we can talk about that.
Yeah.
But
and
what is the
I don't
solution
think I don't think there is a short-term solution at all, because this problem is so deeply rooted in our culture of everything being about money and everything being about making everything transactional, that people are always going to be assigning monetary value to art, and people are always going to be evaluating art, and companies will always only give the green light to art based on how much money it's going to make.
So you think
Unless we dismantle that, like unless we like destroy the entire system, that's not going away anytime soon. So what I tell people is you have to know what your priorities are. If you want to be an artist, is your goal to buy a house and make money? Because if so, you should play the game. Because if your goal is to make money, you should do everything that you can to make money as efficiently as possible in our current artistic world, and that means you're going to be a sellout, and you're going to pick up the scraps of these franchises, much like I did for most of my career. You know, you're going to be covering other people's songs. You're going to be making songs about whatever the most popular video game or whatever is, and we can talk in circles about whether there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah, I think that like you can definitely do it and love it, and I mean you can definitely. For example, you can do only covers of songs that you really care about, and that, you know, like if a new anime comes out and you like it, just don't cover it. So it's not that, to the people listening, it's not that if you make covers or something, it's necessarily bad. It's just you're talking more about
it's not black and white.
You're talking more about this new thing is out and it's popular. I don't know, I don't care about it, but let's cover it because it's gonna get me views. That's kind of the behavior you're talking about, right?
Right. Yeah. But then. So again, like what I tell people is, if you're trying to become successful in our financial music industry, you're gonna have to do stuff like that. And if you don't care about that, if you don't care about how much money you make, you don't care about how many fans you get, you're not in it for the glory, you're not in it for the money, then do whatever you want, because like express yourself in all the ways that you can, because like that's just the reality of it, is the world of expressing yourself as an independent musician and the world of making money as an independent musician, there is a little bit of overlap, but they are different planets.
Yeah, it's
worlds.
The overlap doesn't happen very often. When it happens, it's amazing. You know, because that's
when it happens, it's usually because you got really lucky and were in the exact right place at the right time.
It was just, you know,
or the overlap. Sorry to cut you off there.
No.
The overlap. A lot of times you have to compromise something.
Yeah,
like if you want to be able to express yourself and write songs about what you believe in, you end up needing to sign some kind of record contract in order to make money. And then this record contract is going to take away a little bit of your freedom and take away a little bit of your decision making or your whatever. And again, like this isn't black and white. Not every record contract takes away your freedom. Many of them do, but
there's also like nice labels. But sometimes even like by yourself,
you have to be realistic, and you can't see this world like it's some black and white binary Disney movie where you're going to be able to just believe in yourself as hard as you possibly can, and then magical things happen to you and you become successful and you make the greatest album you've ever written. That's not how it works.
There's one thing that I think about a lot when it comes to success in anything in life, which is in the words of, sometimes I like to read books about, you know, psychology and success mindsets and stuff like that. There's a guy called Zig Ziglar. I don't know if you know him. He's like one of the forefathers.
I've heard the name.
Yeah. So he said this quote of like, if you want to be sure to get anything you want in life, you have to make sure that everyone else gets what they want from you. Like if you help
Yeah.
enough people get what they want in life, that's gonna get you what you want in life. And I think about that a lot. So with music, I think sometimes the compromise is not even like doing like, labels and stuff like that, but maybe you're an independent musician, but you have to make music in a way that is gonna be of value to someone else. So maybe writing music that has themes that a certain, type of people can share. And what I do is personally, the videos and music I make are made for people who are like me or who were like me when I was growing up. I know there's lots of them out there, people who feel a bit insecure about them being nerds, a bit insecure about liking video game music, orchestral music and stuff. That's why my content is being watched, because it's made specifically for people who were like me. And I care about that a lot. So sometimes it's also that. Like I find some artists don't really get so much attention because sometimes they just think about, I just want to do something that I think is cool.
Yeah, but that's a really good point, man. And I think you're really onto something with that, because again, if you look at music compared to these other artistic fields, like if you're a gourmet chef, usually you're not saying, I'm going to make something that I would eat. Normally you're saying, I'm going to make something that all these people are going to eat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And music to me is exactly the same way, where I think a lot of this egoism of artists becoming about this personality thing, a lot of times they end up kind of just like, I
like make stuff to elevate themselves. Like
they kind of like circle jerk themselves, I guess. And they kind of like,
that's so sad to see every time. I swear to God.
Like, you know what I mean? It's like they get into this mentality of, well, I'm gonna write this because I'm expressing myself. Like, what does that even mean? Like, to me, art is communication. To me, art isn't about screaming into, and we could talk about artistic philosophy for the rest of the podcast, but
I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind.
To me, the whole point of music, the whole point of visual art, is that you and I as musicians can skillfully arrange sounds so that they make anyone feel something.
Yeah.
And like, if you're just arranging sounds to pat yourself on the back that you did it,
that can be fine if you want to learn the art of like music production, but then you can't complain if no one gives a shit, right?
Right, exactly. Like that's like the thing that I see the most is these artists. They say, "Well, I made a song that I poured my heart into," and it's like, well, but that doesn't do anything. Like you have to make something. Yeah, it's like you have to make someone else feel something, and if you're skilled enough, you'll be able to express yourself and pour your heart into something and make your viewer or your listener feel the same way that you feel. That's the sign of a good musician.
Yeah.
It's not how fast you can play, in my opinion. It's not how whatever. It's not like how you dress or any of the how high you can sing, how angrily you can sing. It's about, if I want to make you feel a bittersweet happiness, can I do that? Can I play the right notes right now to make you feel that way?
Yeah.
Or maybe can I make you angrier and more resentful than any sound has ever made you feel before?
So being a musician is like having Jedi powers or Sith powers, and then using them for this. Like, that's how you use them, and I completely agree. Like, if you make music that speaks to people like that and makes them feel like, music is one of my favorite things on earth because it makes me feel understood. And actually, the reason at all why I started making music, which I'm also curious about yours, but for me is this. Like, when I was growing up, I listened to the music of Final Fantasy. It made me feel okay in a world where, again, I didn't feel like I fit in anywhere. But Final Fantasy music, it really understood me. It taught me so much. And I was like, shit, I would love to do this for someone else. I would like to become a person that has a lot to say and that has a lot, like, good things, good lessons to share. And I like to help people who are going through the same thing I did when I was younger. And the best way to express lessons, messages, emotions, and stuff in a way that everybody understands is music. So the reason why I chose to do this is exactly this. And the message I'm trying to put out the most is like, hey, you should believe in yourself and embrace your dreams and just do what you're interested about, follow your curiosity. There's no limits. And I'm trying to be the person that exemplifies that, because I started making music when I was 19 and I didn't know anything then. Didn't know music theory, didn't know how to play a single instrument. Even now, the only instrument I feel okay at is bass. Everything else, I suck. I still don't know music theory so much, but I tried to make this career work and I tried to get to high places. And the final dream is to make music for a Final Fantasy game. And if that happens, people can see all my progress online and I can share those lessons on the music, in the music itself. So
Yeah.
Also, I think like when you are a musician and you have an important mission like that or something to say that is important to other people, that motivates you a lot. You know, it's like, it puts you in this perspective of like, I have to do this, you know? I'm curious, like, what is the thing that motivates you? Because you're very driven. That's for sure. Like, you're one of the most prolific, musicians on the internet. And you're very popular. People had a lot of fucking questions, and we're gonna get to those. But what is the thing that drives you, and why did you start?
I mean, I don't have any like epic story of like purpose.
It doesn't have to be
or anything.
But there must be like something. Maybe it's just curiosity, you know?
I mean, I'm man, and this isn't I know that this isn't the answer that a lot of people probably want to hear, but I think it's probably better because like it's good because it's not what they want to hear, I think. I'm very analytical about music, and a lot of what drives me is I am fascinated by the craftsmanship of being able to make someone feel a certain way by skillfully arranging notes in the right order.
So you're like a mad scientist. That's an amazing answer.
Yeah,
right?
that's actually a really
that's
a
great
good way
answer.
to put it. I'm really it's just I feel like a mad scientist.
Did you feel
like
growing up that people didn't understand you so well, and you felt maybe music is the way to make them relate to you or make them understand?
I mean, I think that back then I would have said yes.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a kid, I would have said that nobody understood me, but I wasn't really special. Nothing that I went through as a kid was really unique.
Mm-hmm.
I was pretty lucky growing up, having a supportive family, and like nothing that happened to me as a kid was really.
No, I don't mean it needs to be traumatic or something. I'm just saying, like, maybe you felt like there was a part of you that you couldn't explain or express, but with music, you're like, hey, I can actually.
I mean, it's just like, for me, it was just like, it was one of the only things that I felt, I don't like the word inspired by, but that was it. Like, that was like, I found purpose in just the love of discovering it. You know what I mean? Like, just like experiencing how I can pull on your heartstrings in all these different directions depending on what chords I use. That just and unraveling not just these patterns of notes and treating it like a puzzle that I have to, or like a code that I have to like decode, but also the mystery of our own emotions.
Yeah.
And why does this chord make me feel this way? And how can I use that? That quest of just finding those answers
Yeah.
has just always driven me.
Dude,
So,
that's such a cool answer. Why would you say, "Oh, this is not what people want to hear"? Like, what the? Maybe that's not what people expect to hear. Maybe people who just heard the cover, so like, "Oh, this is a guy that just wants to sing." And no, actually, this is a man on the quest of discovering the laws of the universe. That's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's really like it sucks to like say it, but I don't really consider myself a singer, really. Like I don't see myself as a singer. I just ended up needing to learn how to sing and practicing singing a lot because that's how I ended up making money. So when I first started my YouTube channel, I saw myself as an arranger and a music producer first, and I still do. And the singing was just something I had to do, or I felt that I had to do in order to make money. And because I needed to keep paying my bills and I needed to keep singing in order to do that, I ended up honing those skills over a long period of time. But like with the covers, man, it's like because, and like, again, this sounds bad. This probably isn't what most people want to hear,
Dude,
but
you don't have to apologize for anything. It's really, this is great.
Because of like now that you've heard my motivation, now that you've heard like what drives me, I got to a point with covers where for a little while, maybe at the beginning, I would cover one of these Broadway style Disney songs from these old Disney movies that would have these beautiful arcing melodies with these beautiful Broadway style modulations all throughout, and I would learn something by recreating that. I would be able to reverse engineer and figure out why those songs worked so well by covering them. Mm-hmm. But the further down the road I get and the more that I learned, at this point, become
impressive.
The less I can learn from like pop songs, especially, and like simple alternative rock songs. Basically, I'm at the point where when I make a cover, I feel like I'm a painter who's tracing someone else's painting.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, I don't know if you've ever heard visual artists or painters talk about tracing, but it's not really what butters their bread. You know what I mean? Like if you're a painter and you like creating new paintings, the idea of being stuck just tracing somebody else's painting every week for the rest of your life kind of feels bad.
It's not what you signed up for.
So with that in mind, it's like I had to do something else. So I snapped. And that's why I made Starship Velociraptor.
That's the most epic way to snap, though. Like, that's the result.
Yeah.
You should snap some more, dude. Like, that was an amazing album, really.
Yeah. Thank you, man.
And I suppose, like, what you put in there was also many of the lessons you learned by reverse engineering the music of other people, which is a great way to learn music, actually. But, then you might want to do more. Or maybe, is there, like, this thing about singing for necessity or, like, learning different instruments makes me think about a question. Playing, making, singing, music, like just how many hours you spent with music in your life?
Oh man, a lot. I thousands.
Is it 10,000, 20, 30?
Man, it would take me a while to try and give you any kind of accurate estimate because, I would play piano. Mm-hmm. Starting when I was 10 years old, I would play piano several hours a week minimum. Mm-hmm. And I would play drums. Starting when I was like 3 years old, I would play drums for like an hour every day.
Damn.
And then like once I started, once I got a little bit older into like high school, and when I wanted to be making rock music and I looked up to these rock bands and I wanted to be writing stuff like that, it would have been hours and hours. Like I would come home from school and I would do nothing but play video games and try to learn how to write and record music.
That's amazing.
So
you would like...
Yeah, so...
How old are you now? 25?
I'm 26.
26?
26.
Okay.
Yes.
So... would it be accurate to say that you spent at least 13 years making music? Like nothing, like literally 13 years of your lifetime doing music or something?
That might be a little bit too much, but yeah, I don't know, man. It's definitely years, though.
I just want to frame it in a way that makes people understand that Jonathan
Well,
Young is not someone
yeah.
that descended from the heavens like this, and he was like, singing.
I think that's important. I think that's very important. And a better way, or not better, an easier way to put it might be to say that I have released over 300 songs on iTunes and Spotify.
That's a lot. That is
so, like, that's more than some, like, pretty big artists have really, like... So basically, like, for the past, like, 10 years, I've spent, like, my day job has been figuring out how to do this. So... And I hope that inspires people more than it demotivates them, because the thing that I always hear the most is, well, I'm not musically talented. I could never sing. I could never do that. And it's like, well, but I wasn't either at one point.
I hear that all the time. Man, I hear that. So, it's funny to me because people tell me, oh, but I don't know music theory. I don't either. Oh, but I can play instruments. I can't either. You know, the music you hear from me is made by someone.
That's the thing, man. It's like the music is all just pattern recognition, right? Like understanding what is happening in a drum beat is just recognizing a pattern of hits. Yeah. Understanding what's happening in a melody is just recognizing a pattern in a sequence of notes going up and down. You know? Yeah. That's all just pattern recognition. And one way that I like to explain this to kids is think about your favorite video game. You know? Think about like a difficult video game, like where you have to recognize the patterns of when to hit, Dark Souls. Like it's all, that's literally like how many hours do you have to put into Dark Souls?
I'm so fucking impressed by people who speedrun Dark Souls or something like that. People who learn to like play these video games, and then I'm like, and then they tell you, I have this passion, but I don't feel talented. I don't want to follow it. I'm like, bro, you can fucking beat Dark Souls in 10 hours. If you can do that, you can freaking shred guitar if you want. If you learn to freaking beat Dark Souls in 10 hours, like guitar might be even easier to learn.
Yeah, maybe that's... and like think about any competitive video game, like whether it's like Super Smash Bros. Or
Overwatch or League of Legends or something like that. Yeah,
Overwatch, League of Legends, any of those video games. When you're good at those games, you're literally just hitting exactly the right buttons in exactly the right sequence. And you're doing that because you've memorized exactly what moment you have to hit those buttons at and the timing. And that's literally the exact same thing as playing a guitar.
The only difference is
you're
that
literally...
you don't have like... The only difference that I can see people justify themselves is like, yeah, but that's not exciting. Okay, if that's not exciting and it's boring and you can't cope with it, you're not curious at all, then...
Am I allowed to swear on this podcast?
Dude, I'm Italian. I swear a lot. So
okay,
don't worry.
If learning how to memorize those buttons and pressing those buttons at the right time is too boring for you, tough shit.
Yeah.
Then maybe you shouldn't be a musician.
Yeah, that's what I think. Like I think people romanticize being a musician a lot. People romanticize. People don't know about the years that I spent even not dating girls at all, like for like 4 years, because I was like, I don't have time to date. Music is my relationship now, and or I don't have time to see my friends and stuff. They don't know about that. Or when I tell them, they don't believe it. They don't listen to it. They're like, oh, you're so good. Yeah, but it took some effort to get here, and it's fine. Yeah. I don't think everybody needs to be a musician, and also musicians. I don't think everyone needs to be a famous musician, or everybody needs to make this for money. Like, I think people should be aware of what they ask for, and what they desire, and just do it if they want, and don't if they don't.
And the people that are interested in doing it,
usually it's not.
Maybe
for money.
This is.
Usually.
Well, yeah, and people need to stop worrying about like the number of fans that you have, because that's like that only matters if you're trying to make money. But like when people start out, I feel like they want to know how to play the guitar, they want to know how to sing, they want to they want to be able to do this stuff, but it's so daunting and it's so demoralizing to try to do it and realize how difficult it is, and realize how slow you're learning, because it's a muscle memory thing. And it's a very intense pattern recognition thing. So people give up. And I've seen it happen. I've had friends that have tried to pick up the guitar. They've done it for a couple days and realized just how hard it is and how much time it takes. And they freak out and they give up. And I think to those people, the biggest motivating thing that I could say, which again kind of hurts for some people to hear, but think about how much time most of us spend watching Netflix or playing the same video game that you've been playing for the past 10 years. For like some of us work 3 part-time jobs in order to support our families, and I'm not talking about you honestly when I say that, but
talking about the average
I know
person
a lot of people. Yeah, but I know a lot of people who, if you like started a stopwatch every time that they just sit here and scroll, or sit here and play the same video game that they've been playing, or sit here and just binge watch, like watching The Office for the 10th time. They've seen the whole show. I've done it too, but like if you just like become aware of how much time you're just kind of not doing anything, and you just move some of that time into just
something productive. Yeah.
Something,
a good exercise I like is like thinking of what if when we die, we are forced, we don't go to heaven, but we're just forced to relive our lives again and just see them from an outside perspective again. Yeah. And all of it is like watching Netflix. You're going to be like, oh, fuck. I wasted all my time. Yeah. But I can understand that some people are like, yeah, this is all fine, but I still can bring myself to do it. And everyone is motivated by different things. I struggle with learning instruments, actually. For me, the thing that motivated me is composing music without playing instruments and stuff. And then one day I was like, okay, I can compose well. I'm confident with this, but I want to add more life to my music. So it would be nice to start learning instruments. That's what I'm doing this year.
And that's another thing, man, is that I think that people lump those two things together. They act like you have to be a fast guitar player in order to write good guitar music. Yeah, and I don't think that's true at all. Like the skill of creating and composing new music, whether it's writing lyrics or writing melodies or writing chord progressions, that's a completely separate skill from playing guitar fast. Like those are like, I know guitarists who can't write music at all.
Same.
But they are they're the fastest guitarists you'll ever meet. And I also know, like, I don't consider myself a very good instrumentalist either. Like all of the stuff on Starship Velociraptor was all arranged digitally. I didn't play barely anything on that album.
You're an incredible composer.
Well, thank you, but I played a couple of the piano solos, and the rest was just picking exactly what notes I wanted to put in every single second of every single song. And that, like, I have, like, all sorts of, like, whatever carpal tunnel wrist problem nonsense, and I have, like, bad posture. So it's really hard for me to sit down and play guitar for hours at a time. But, once you understand that that's a separate lane, that's a separate skill set. I think that's a really good thing that more people need to realize is that, like, and I think that electronic music has really helped people to realize that.
Yeah, oh man.
Like learning that you can make beautiful, expressive music and communicate these complex emotions by learning how all of this works without ever needing to have fast fingers.
That was my way in, actually. I noticed, like, there's also electronic music producer coming out, and you don't need to play instruments to do that. Okay, cool. That's me. And yeah, dude. Like, there's so many ways to make music. So if you're someone that people listen to podcasts, you want to make music, but you can't bring yourself to play instruments, fine, just make music anyway. Use virtual instruments.
Yeah.
You don't want to make orchestral music, make electronic. You don't want to make electronic, make ambient. Make whatever music feels right to you. And by many times, the music that musicians make is very different from the one that you listen to, by the way. Like, for example, if I ask you, like, do you have some bands that you like that people would never think you do, or artists?
I listen to a ton of jazz.
There you go.
I listen to tons and tons of jazz, and if somebody asked me, if somebody put a big red button in front of me that said, change reality so that you're a jazz musician instead of a rock musician, I would hesitate, but I would probably slam the button.
Dude, you should definitely dive deeper into it. I saw, what's his name, Anthony Vincent?
Yes.
He changed his channel name. I don't know the guy very well. I saw it. I'm this weird person. I don't really consume so much YouTube, but I'm interested in the mindset of the creators. So when I see a creator making a video where he talks about, I don't know, what he's going through, his psychology, changes in the channel, I'm changing my content and stuff. I'm like, oh, interesting. Let's see what's up. And I saw Anthony Vincent's video, and then the week after he released this like sort of like jazz Frank Sinatra style cover of a I don't remember the song. Yeah, right. I was like, Everlong, this is so cool.
Yeah.
You know? And
yeah, man.
You know, maybe if you really like jazz so much, you should definitely try like making some jazz music and stuff.
We'll see. I'm gonna mess with it.
I was gonna ask you like, if you can learn a new genre, what it is, and now you told me already. So
yeah, I love jazz. I'm not as good at it as I wish I was.
Yeah, it's like you have to to make jazz, you have to change the way you think about music quite a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of concepts that I understand on a surface level, but I can't apply them very quickly when I'm thinking about them too hard. Like modal scales. The many beginner musicians think about, and Alex probably already knows this, but for the viewers at home, many early musicians think about the mood of a song as binary. Like a song is either happy or it's sad, or it's either in a major key or a minor key. A lot of musicians are very familiar with that. That's very elementary music knowledge. But the concept of modal scales is the idea that you can a major scale that sounds happy is a certain sequence of notes, one after another, and our brains process that pattern as sounding happy because of how the notes lead into each other. And the same with a minor scale. A minor scale, the sequence of notes makes our brain feel sad. But it's more complicated than that, and there are more possible note combinations that you can use. Yeah. And that's why music from the Middle East, you can always tell when you're listening to music that sounds Middle Eastern because it uses a different sequence of notes that's usually a modal scale or a pentatonic scale or whatever. And so basically, if you master all of these different note sequences and know what the differences between each of them are, then as a craftsman, if Alex wanted to hire me to make a song for a video game that takes place in the Middle East, I would immediately know what sequence of notes to use to pull that off. And same goes for any style of music, whether that's Celtic folk music, Middle Eastern music, Oriental music, Southern blues. There's all these different sequences of notes that you have to plug into, and I'm fascinated by it.
Yeah,
I think it's this fascinating puzzle.
Why. And I really I think that's probably also why in Starship Velociraptor you have all these key changes. Like you're tired of like, oh, this is just going to be major, it's just going to be minor. You kind of like to have this light in the darkness or darkness in the light and stuff. Like, what are some examples? There's some tracks where you do that a lot. God, I don't remember the names. I think maybe Final Frontier.
Yeah.
That one is Final Frontier?
Yeah.
So and that passage there is a modulation, right?
Yeah.
It's so cool.
I resolve to... I do a 4/3 suspension on like a 4 chord in the minor key or something, and but a major 4 chord in the minor key.
Yeah, and you feel it.
Yeah, it feels like this hopefulness in this really bitter song.
Yeah,
and that's on that. I did do that on purpose.
Yeah,
so
I can tell.
Yeah,
also,
and that's what I live for. And to me, knowing how to do stuff like that, it's like being a painter discovering a new color.
Yeah, dude.
You know, it's like it blows my mind when I figure this stuff out, because it's like, think of all the new stuff that I can do with this. Like it's like unlocking a new ability in a video game. It's like now they let you use a grappling hook, and suddenly you can climb that. You can climb that mountain from the very beginning that you said, I wish I could climb that. Now you can.
Man, that sounds so fucking cool. Like I'm deeply invested in all this stuff as well. And
yeah,
I think this is what it is to be a musician sometimes. Really, sometimes when I write a song, many times actually, or a cover or something, many times I'm like, I'm not sure if I really like this, but man, this bass feel right here for this like 2-minute mark.
Yeah,
that was the sauce, and I want people to hear the sauce. So I'm gonna publish the whole song just for the bass riff. So you do feel like a scientist who just discovered something amazing you want to share with the world. And
yeah, that's what I do too. There were a lot of people that were asking for this interview. A lot of people were asking like what my influences are, and I had a hard time thinking about it because I feel like a lot of people think about influences like, I want to sound like this band, or I want to be like this band, or write music like this band. But for me, it's like exactly what you just said. It's like, I won't like a band, I'll just like that one chord that they used, you know? It's like, I'll listen to a song like, and so one band that I do really love is Brothers of Metal.
Okay.
They do like Scandinavian inspired, like Viking metal music.
Oh, damn. Okay, that sounds cool.
And this is just the first example that comes to mind of what you're talking about, where like I just hear this one part that I just want to figure out why that one part works so well. And like I love their band, I love their whole get up. Like it's all great. They do a bunch of fun key changes too, and stuff that's way more creative than a lot of other metal musicians, especially in the United States. But there's this one song. There's actually two songs that do like the same thing, where like they do their verse and they do their chorus, and it's like, you know, it's a super hyped up Viking, you know, battle song, and then after the chorus, they drop into this guitar groove, and in both of these songs, there's a song Ride of the Valkyries and Njord, which is the name of the Viking god of the sea.
Wow,
is what they wrote this. It's super cool. But in both of these songs, it's only after the first chorus, and it makes me so angry because I have to restart the song. Again. Yeah, and it's after in both of these songs, Njord and Ride of the Valkyries. After the first chorus, they drop into this groove where the drummer. I could go off about stuff like this for days, dude, but the drummer just locks in to what drummers would call 4 on the floor. So it's just like kick, snare, kick, snare, kick, snare, kick, snare. There's nothing fancy at all. It's literally the simplest drum beat that you could ever play. And he just like kick, snare, kick, snare. But then the guitarists do this pattern over it that just like, damn, man. Just like pulls you in, and it just,
that's so like, amazing.
I feel like I learned something about what makes good metal music groove really well, just from that one 4-bar section of those two songs right after the chorus.
It's not very common in metal music, is it? Like you barely. It's always like.
Well, it's interesting because if depending on what style of metal music you listen to, sometimes it'll happen, and when it does, it feels like you've been riding through the forest on a quest, and then I'm off the deep end. It's late here.
Dude, I love this. Keep going.
It feels like it's the musical feeling of like you're galloping on your horse on a quest, and then the forest ends,
and you come out and
you come out into this sweeping plain, and there's mountains in the distance, and it just feels like everything just opens up, and it's
actually
like it's
it makes sense musical
and it's
as well.
just the drums, man. It's like the drums opening up like that and giving space to the
why
guitars.
is that? You can think about, like, you know, when the drums are like, when the arrangement is very busy and the drums like, you can think of all those notes as the trees in the forest. And when it becomes like four on the floor and leaves space, it's like there's air. That's literally what's happening for your ears, you know?
You feel like you're looking, like you can see for miles.
Yeah.
Just because the drummer is hitting. Man, you're speaking my language right now.
Dude,
I love it.
I'm telling you, like, I was looking forward to talk with you about this stuff because there's way more to music that people see. And to people who are like still listening and didn't escape out of the music theory, this is why musicians really care about, like, are really passionate, because, like, imagine having this vision of music, like talking about a drum kit in this way. This is what we feel when we make music, and this is what compels us to like be like mad scientists. And it's so fucking cool, man, to hear that you go through the same thing. That's
man,
that's amazing.
I love talking about this stuff. It's so much fun to try to put into words the imagery that these different
it's beautiful
patterns of sounds.
And it's beautiful when you, as a composer, when you people talk about your music and you're like, oh my God, they understood the message. You know, there was a time I wrote a song. I had the most severe writer's block ever for like a month, and everything I wrote sucked. And I was like about to give up. I was like, yeah, I'm giving up music. And I was like, let me sit down and write the very last song I'll make. I'm not gonna judge it. I'm just gonna write, play piano, and keep whatever happens. No mistakes and stuff, like Bob Ross. And I wrote this song, and it starts very sad because I was very sad about giving up music, and then it becomes angry because I was angry, and then it becomes hopeful because the song came out nice, and I was like, hey, I defeated writer's block. It was pretty nice. It's fun. I should keep doing it. So in this song, you can feel my process, of like losing all hope, then getting angry, then finding hope, and triumphing in the end. Published the song. Lots of people wrote stories and it made me feel this way. It made me think about this, made me think about that. I'm like, oh, fuck. People understood, like, each in their own way. It wasn't like no one wrote, oh, wow, this song tells the story about the composer who was facing writer's block. No, they just wrote stories about loss and hope they found again. I'm like, wow, it's so cool to hear people really, understand that. So it's a beautiful means of communication, music. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and I think that I wish that people thought more about that. About like the just these little tiny specific, like, how can I make you feel like you just left the forest and are now in the sweeping plains, like because I feel like so many people just get tunnel vision about, well, I'm in a rock band, I have to write a rock song. And sense, like, it's like they just like regurgitate, and like, it's still pattern recognition. They're still like seeing a pattern in the music they like. It makes them feel like rock music makes you feel powerful. It makes you feel aggressive. It makes you feel cathartic, like you're letting loose all of your anger. But nobody's thinking about why. They're just thinking about, chug chug, make brain juice feel good.
You know what it is, John. I honestly think you're just a composer at heart. Like the way you talk about music is a composer. If you were born 500 years ago, you will be like probably a classical composer. Not a performer, like a composer. That's what you would be. And
I wouldn't be able to be a performer. Yeah.
It's completely fine, by the way, to be like just someone who just wants to chuck. That's fine as well. But if you are driven and you're curious, you want to do more, you want to create more, you want to create, then you should heed the call and just do it, because it's the biggest joy. Even if you like, there's no, again, like you said, there's nothing wrong with liking the chugs,
But don't limit yourself.
Yeah.
Because if you're chugging and there needs to be a moment where you feel something else, let that happen. Let yourself explore things outside of that. And because there really is no ceiling on how many different tricks you can learn to make people feel a certain way. Like, I can play a major chord and it'll make you feel happy. And then I can add one note, just one extra note, like a 7 or a 9 for music people.
Completely.
You know? And suddenly we go from feeling happy to feeling like we're anticipating something. Or suddenly we go from happy to calm and relaxed. Or we go from happy to bittersweet, you know? Like, and like I said before, it's like, don't you want to know all those different colors? Don't you want to be able to paint with all those different colors? Like,
yeah, dude.
Like, because if you only know, I'm sorry, if you only know major chords and minor chords, then you can only do happy and sad. You know, like that's.
I think people can also change. Maybe like you can also change how you do certain things. So like, there's nothing wrong with like just doing basic stuff, but you can. Hey, what if you write a song that has chug 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 chug, but then at a certain point it goes flamenco?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh fuck, now that's different. You know, flamenco metal. Or what if you do
flamenco uses a very specifically different type of minor.
Oh yeah, they use a
scale
mode and stuff, right?
Yeah. So it's like, what is that going to do? How is that gonna tell a story that is different than what the chugs can do by themselves? You know,
I think I'm thinking of a track, Paramexer by Animals as Leaders. It's kind of metal flamenco, and it's freaking amazing.
Tosin,
it's legendary.
He's amazing. Yeah. He's amazing.
He's another kind of like human. But I'm thinking people like should think about this idea of like adding more. You know, just doing something that do the stuff that everyone loves and stuff. Yeah. But what is something you can add that changes a little bit?
Yeah, because that's how you don't settle. Unique, right? Don't settle. Yeah. Don't make the same cheeseburger for the rest of your life. Try some different spices on your cheeseburger.
Yeah, if you want to enjoy it more, If you, again, this is advice. This advice is meant for people who are not satisfied right now with their art for some reason. If you're someone who's like,
and even if you are satisfied, even if you feel like you don't need to learn anymore to make music that you feel is expressive enough for you or that tells the story that you want to tell. What if there's fun to try. Well, and what if there's a spice out there that you know, like what if there's something out there that is gonna make your favorite burger, but you don't even know it's there yet
you're
because you haven't tried it.
Such a mad scientist. Like you're obsessed. I love it because I'm the same.
Well, because I'm the same,
like, dude.
Because all these people I know, all these rock musicians, they never discover these colors out there.
Dude, humans, another example. Humans don't fucking care about, hey, let's terraform another planet and move to Mars. Most people don't care. Then there's Elon Musk who's like, don't think about anything else but that. You're like Elon Musk of music. You're a visionary, which is
thank you, man.
I'm obsessed with like, hey guys, there's more. You should discover more, and that's fine. Like, I really love that. I'm the same, honestly. This is just stuff you can do to have more fun, but also nothing wrong to if you do stuff the normal way, or if you don't even make music. But if you're someone who feels that call, you feel that pull, don't refuse it, because that's what is gonna give you the most fun, and it's gonna make you grow the most. It's gonna give you the most successful music. But yeah, man, I think we can talk about this stuff forever, but I want to do questions also.
Yeah, definitely.
I honestly thought this talk was going to be mostly questions because there's like 7,000 questions that are all amazing. And we've been here already for an hour. I don't know how much time you have. But
I'm always up late. For those of you watching, Alex is in Europe and I am on the west coast of the United States. So it is it is after midnight here, and it is like 10 in the morning for Alex, but here. I'm fine. I usually wake up really late anyway. So
same. I just, man, again, I knew like this is something I can last for. We can make more episodes and stuff. It's so fun. But I want to do a few questions from people. I have them categorized. There's some about creativity. There's some questions about the album. Some about songwriting.
Excellent.
And some questions about covers that I don't think we want to do. Like, do you want to talk about covers?
I mean,
Yeah.
if I answer any questions about covers, it's going to be very quick answers.
Okay, good. Then let's start. Let's see. Let me see. Because sure, there's some questions we already talked about. Okay, yeah, this is a question from Ropanaganti.
Yes. Hello,
with all
Ro.
the cynicism, hello, man, surrounding how artists grow and play the algorithm, and many boiling their success down to luck, what do you both feel artists can or should do to improve the music landscape? Like, what can we do?
Yeah, that's a big question. The first thing is that I don't think it's luck. I think that you can look at the psychology of why people get clickbaited by something, and you can recognize that pattern and replicate it. And if you want to make money, that's how you play the game.
I think there's lots of cover artists who are trying to do that, but they don't.
Right.
It doesn't work.
So what? Can you reread the last part of the question? Like, what can artists do
to rectify or improve the music landscape?
Man, honestly, I wish I knew. I wish I had a straight answer, but I think that everybody who does covers, or if you do covers, or if you do any type of derivative content, like Minecraft songs or whatever, like original songs inspired by a famous character fandom, or famous video game or whatever, fandom, or visual artists too. I think that it's our responsibility as artists to also try to put out content that is all original and not derivative. I think that, and don't think too hard about it. Just play the game, post your covers, post your Minecraft songs, whatever you got to do to pay the bills. I understand. I'm not faulting you. But then, once a year, just sit down and make an original song and put it out. And if you don't ever think about it again, fine. But every now and then, this is where the luck comes in. Every now and then, the right person at the right time will find that original song, and it'll be the best thing that you've ever done.
Yeah.
And maybe it'll blow up. But if you don't try to do something original, if you get too tunneled on making clickbait because you're desperate to succeed, and if you forget, if you don't let yourself really do, like, create something completely new, we're all gonna get stuck. We will all be stuck. If we all choose to get stuck, we'll all be stuck forever.
So I completely agree with this, and I want to develop that answer as well with some of my thoughts. Bro, like, precisely that there's a cover that he made. He made a cover like when what's it called? Deltarune, the sequel to Undertale or something, got released. Everyone overnight made a cover of Rootbuster and Don't Forget, which are 2 tracks from the game. But bro, I don't remember if it was Rootbuster, but he made a cover of like a game in Bollywood style. And I'm like, this is something that only you can do, bro. Because, it's like your heritage, it's your culture, it's your skill and stuff like that. I don't really see many people making Bollywood covers of video game music. That was dope. That was different. So I think one thing artists can do is to like see the landscape, and instead of being like, oh, I see this guy using metal guitars and metal vocals and making covers, and he's getting good numbers, I'm gonna do the exact same thing. No, if you do that, you're just gonna you're gonna try to get a bit of his audience, but that's a limited. You're not creating.
Sometimes it works. So sometimes that will work, but I completely agree with you, and I think the poetic way to put this is, you will never be like I'm sorry, I'm back
That
up.
would be like the number one
it's late.
being following someone else, right? Like,
The only thing that I can be the best at is being the best Jonathan Young that I can be.
yeah,
I'm never gonna be the best 3 Days Grace. I'm never gonna be the best Caleb Hiles. Like, and those should not be my goals. You know, my goal should not try to be the best Caleb Hiles that I can be, because Caleb Hiles is always going to be a better Caleb Hiles than I am, you know, because what makes Caleb Hiles is different than what makes me.
yeah.
And
like
I think like with Ro, I think that's a really good point. I think that nobody is making Bollywood covers.
Yeah. And I think also like you can definitely maybe see like, oh, Jonathan Young, Caleb Biles, and be, I like the way they go about it. You know, I like the fact they post a cover a week. I like the fact they, you know, target certain games or whatever. I like the fact they transform the song this way, blah, blah. But then you can take the idea and execute it in a completely different way.
Yeah. And like, and that's a really good point, because I think that like to that point, using Ro as an example, everybody go subscribe to Ro if you're listening.
Yeah, it's great.
Great question, Ro. Hope you're doing well, buddy. But there are hundreds of kids that play metal versions of video game songs.
Yeah, God, man.
And there's nothing wrong with that. But how many people know how to make Indian, like really genuine Indian cultural music? How many people not only know how to do that, but also are passionate about video game music? There's one, and it's Ro. So like do that.
That we know of. There's surely more, but surely I cannot think of anyone else.
Right. But that's what I mean. And like with me, one thing that helped me discover this was I used to hate having a low voice, but then I realized that that's it. I have to like there was no one else on YouTube at the time that could sing those Disney villain songs as low as I could, like the originals, because there was nobody else that like you gotta think about how many boxes are you checking, right? Mm-hmm. So in order to be in that right place at the right time, you had to have a low voice, you had to be passionate about making covers of Disney villain songs, you had to have the capability of executing it, and you have to do it. Right.
Yeah.
And I was able to corner that market, and like you're doing something very similar with like what if, you know, Final Fantasy music was in Mario, and like all these there's no one else that can do Alex the way that you do, because no one else checks all those boxes. No one else is a composer who's passionate about video games and has the drive and the motivation and the resources and the execution to do this exact idea. And I think with people like Ro, with people like, you know, Caleb, any of these people, it's the exact same thing. If you can find something where you check more boxes than anybody else on that idea, run with it. Because that is one of the only times we're talking about where expressing yourself as an artist and making money, where that can overlap. That's one of the only times that those two things overlap, is when you can check more boxes on something, on an idea, than anybody else can.
Another thing that I definitely dude. Dude, I'm here to talk to you. This is your space. I want people to get to know the man behind the music. So the more you talk,
I want to get to know you
business.
too. I feel like I'm talking too much.
No problem,
I want to
man.
hear
But,
you talk too,
like
man.
we have many things in common. So sometimes there's things you say that I'm like, I would have said that. That's definitely. I've noticed.
Same
that
to you. Same to you.
Yeah. And another thing that I recommend, other than being unique that way, which again, it's beautiful to like, it's not only about being different. It's like doing something that people understand. Metal covers is something people understand.
Yeah.
Metal Bollywood is it's adjacent to what people already understand. So that's like, you know, that's cool. And I think another thing that can help to improve the landscape as musicians is collaborations, especially when you are someone that's getting good reach. Try to see, like, that's what I try to do. Try to find people who are not getting getting the attention they deserve, and try to bring them up. Like one thing I like to do is to every so and so make like threads and tell people, hey, you should check out this musician, this video, this, that. Or maybe collaborate with people on like, you're great. I wish your music got more attention. So mine does. Let's work on something together. Appear in my videos. I'm going to tell people to subscribe to you or something like that. That's huge. And that's easy to do when you're the smaller guy and you're like, yes, I want to collaborate. It's going to get me views. But once you get the success, it's harder to still have the view of like, I'm going to share it with,
I think it's only harder. It's only harder to be that way when you're more successful if you let the success get to your head. Personally, I have stopped thinking about like when I want to collaborate with someone, if I find an artist that is amazing, I've like stopped thinking about how many subscribers they have or whatever.
Yeah.
Like because I've met plenty of people that have millions and millions of subscribers who are, like
okay, but they're not as talented as people who have.
Well, but like what I'm getting at is that like subscribers don't have anything to do with how good you are.
I agree.
Like this is not a meritocracy. Like you can get millions of subscribers just by getting lucky or by clickbaiting people with music that isn't very good. So if you tunnel vision on only talking to and only working with people who have big numbers, then you're just shooting yourself in the foot. Like every single year I meet so many good musicians that have like 100 subscribers or less than 5,000 listeners. And like you said, it's no sweat off my back to bring them on a song. So why not? Like, help each other out,
It can be, I can see how it can also be like, oh, fuck. Like, because even I'm trying to like share and give so much to the community and stuff. But I have like sometimes, rarely it happens, that I might have some tendencies that are like, oh, fuck, what was that petty thought I just had? Like,
example, but that's the business side of things,
That can happen, but I'm saying like, if we care about helping the community, we have to put our egos aside. Because sometimes you might be like, shit, this guy deserves more views, but then if he gets more views, then he's gonna dethrone me. And
fuck that.
It's a complete normal thought to have, but you cannot have it if you want to make the world a better place. And if you want to help music thrive and become even a better thing for everybody, we have to help each other, especially those of us who are smaller, getting less reach and stuff, give advice and do stuff like we're doing now with the podcast. I think that's most
of the stuff that I have learned about music production over the years has been from just working with the people that I meet. Mm-hmm. And every time that you work with a good musician, you'll learn you'll learn a trick from them. And then you'll take that trick with you for the rest of your life, and you'll know how to do that. Even if it's just like learning about a plugin that they use, even if it's just hearing the way that they sing a certain word, the way that they inflect a certain word, and you think, wow, that was a really cool delivery, the way that they delivered that word when they were singing. Mm-hmm. And I think that's so much more important than
the amount of subscribers.
Yeah, because it's like, I got a bunch of subscribers and I feel like I didn't earn them. So why would I be, or I feel like I didn't deserve them for the right reasons. So why would I be an elitist about only wanting to work with other people?
Yeah, I think that's something you can definitely start to see once you reach a certain level, like with success. Yeah. Before you get there, you idolize it and you're like, oh, this is all I need. But then when you get those 100,000 subscribers or 1 million subscribers, you're like,
well, and really success, I tell people that the human brain is not wired to process fame.
No.
The human brain,
small tribes, right?
Yeah, our social DLC in our brains is not. We do not have the update yet for processing millions of people and that amount of social feedback, and it really messes some people up.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, to anybody listening, I think that there's two types of famous people. There's the people that let it mess them up, and there's the people that stay human and stay grounded, you know?
It's not easy.
And I think that, yeah, and it's not, because like your brain just short circuits when you start getting that much social attention, and you have to like pretty much reboot. So I think like to your point about like lifting up smaller artists, I think part of it is just that. Part of it is just remembering that we're all just people.
Yeah. When you have that fame, you feel like you have to preserve it in a way. So maybe you become a bit less daunting with what you do. Well, an artist that's just starting out or doesn't have lots of following, it's gonna do some crazy shit because they don't fucking care. They don't have anything to lose. So sometimes it's good even to stay in touch with them, because you're gonna learn a lot from them. So yeah, that's what we would recommend, just for improving the music landscape. But bro, just make those Bollywood covers, or just make stuff that only you could do. Bro, you're so fucking talented. When I see your music, I'm like, fuck, I wish I could play it like that. You know, I wish I could be so prolific on so many instruments and stuff. And I'm sure there's some unique things that only you can do. And there's nothing weird with blending what is popular, what is known, with stuff that is a bit more outlandish. Actually, that is what people need. That is what people want. If you can expand their understanding of what is possible, they will love you. If I can think of an example, someone asked a question like, how do you start a YouTube channel without making covers? Like, and without making lo-fi beats? I know. Like, have you guys heard about, have you ever seen a guy called Ichika Nito? Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He's great.
He doesn't make covers that much. Like, out of his videos, probably 5 are covers, 5 out of 100 or something.
Yeah.
Why did Ichika Nito blow up? Because he changed, in a way, the way people think of guitar.
Yeah.
With his stuff.
Well, when you're asking these questions about how to become successful, you got to ask it, like you got to step outside yourself and ask the question, if I was scrolling, would I click on this?
Man. Good.
And it doesn't, like, forget about covers, forget about Minecraft songs, forget about all this. Like, and with Ichika, it's like you see a guy in his room holding a guitar. It's only a minute long.
Yeah, you're like,
you want to see, like, you want to see what the fuck he's about to pull out.
Yeah.
You want to see what he's got. Like, show me what you got. And then you click on it, and he blows you away. Yeah, he blows your mind.
Yeah.
And like with me, it's when you're scrolling and you see, what if Let It Go was metal from this Disney movie?
Yeah.
Like that makes a certain type of person say, I wonder. And then you click on it like that. So it's not about covers. It's about
curiosity.
It's about our
telling a story.
Yeah, it's about psychology. It's about human psychology.
And also what stands out with Ichika is that on YouTube, everyone has been so focused making like, I need to create the most incredible thumbnail and title ever with the tags. And Ichika is just a guitar and I miss you. And you're like, what is this? Like, it stands out because it's so...
But that's the thing, is that sets himself apart.
Yes.
Because we have become so desensitized to clickbait thumbnails with like, like somebody up, like, and so when you see a thumbnail for a video that's literally just a guy holding a guitar, and then it has the title "I Miss You," like, or whatever, like the first thing that goes to your head is like, wow, what is he about to play that's going to make me feel that, and that, but like, so it's not like this. It's not like this polarized like dichotomy of stuff that's clickbait and stuff that isn't clickbait. It's just psychology. It's just what is going to make you stop scrolling to click on something. And with Ichika, he captured lightning in a bottle where he, like, whether he did it on purpose or not, his genuineness and how simple the way that he presents his videos is, that that works.
Yeah.
That format works. And so don't think about, I have to make my thumbnails look like this because that's what everybody else does. No, think about, why is the person that I want to click on this gonna click on it?
Yeah.
And if you want them to click on it because it's you know, doing a classic YouTube thumbnail, fine. But like, the same works for Ichika, but in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, for me, for example, for my videos, I do those faces, and it's that's like in my music producer reacts videos. And I think what happens with people is,
So do I.
they read, but they read like, they see, I don't know, Last Surprise from Persona 5, and there's a Persona 5 image. Then there's music producer reacts, and they're like, music producer?
Yeah.
Who is,
what
and
is-
in my
what-
videos,
yeah.
like the way I dress, people don't think that I'm a nerd. And they're like, oh, like, this is just a music producer that probably makes like rap music because he's black or something. And in this thumbnail,
Yeah.
it looks like he's fucking losing his mind, which I am in the video, actually. And
Yeah.
people are like, okay, I wonder what this music producer guy has to say about this track that I love a lot.
You're right.
And they click. So
You're
there's-
exactly
there
right.
needs to be like, from the thumbnail and title, a reason that breaks people's trance, because people are in a trance when they scroll down a feed. You break their trance, and once you got their attention, you have to blow their minds with the video. And it's easier to do that with a short form video like Ichika, especially in the beginning. But you can also do longer videos. Like there's videos, like yesterday I was watching a video about, the title was, why do indie games always use pixel art? And this guy had only like 15,000 subscribers, but the video had 1 million views. And it's because it's a question that actually you had your whole life, you just didn't know you had it. When you read the title, you're like, yeah, actually, why do video games have like, you know, indie games have pixel?
Yeah, or maybe you already think you know.
Yeah, and then you click and you're like, I actually know nothing. It's it's all about that. And this is just for YouTube, by the way. Like one thing I would recommend artists a lot is branch out of YouTube. YouTube is great. It's fucking amazing. But there's also TikTok, there's Instagram, there's Reddit, there's Twitter, there's Pinterest, there's all these places. And everywhere you post content, you have to do it kind of differently. You can take I don't know if you're familiar with Gary Vaynerchuk. Have you ever heard Gary V? Do you know this person?
I think I've heard the name.
Yeah, he's like a genius. He's a business owner, does marketing, and he's a legend. And he doesn't have to do this, but he spends lots of his time teaching people how to do what he does for free. And the way he goes about it is like he publishes something like 40 pieces of content a day, every day.
Oh, wow.
And it's insane when you hear the number. But when you learn the truth, it's kind of like this. So for example, maybe he has a video where he gives a speech, a keynote presentation to like a marketing event or something. And it's like him talking about marketing for 40 minutes. Well, from that piece of content, he's going to publish the 40 minutes video on YouTube. Then he's going to cut like some 2-minute chunks that can go independently by themselves. He's going to publish that on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok and stuff. Then he's going to go on YouTube after publishing the video, read the comments and see what people say. Oh my God, I love this part at the 5-minute mark. And he goes to the 5-minute mark, cuts that part out, makes more content out of it. So out of this 40-minute video, he publishes, 20 videos, 20 different versions on 20 different socials and stuff like that. For musicians, I would recommend doing the same. You make a cover or something, fine. That's cool. Take a moment from the cover, cut it out. Maybe just if the cover is done, like, for example, I have an orchestration of Final Fantasy that I made. And someone in the comments wrote, oh, wow, this part sounds like Pirates of the Caribbean. And I'm like, fuck, actually, yeah, I could fit the Pirates of the Caribbean melody in here. So I went and I added the Pirates of the Caribbean melody and I published that independently on Twitter saying Final Fantasy cross Pirates of the Caribbean. Blew up.
Yeah, and when it comes to like finding success in the social media world, it's a statistics sort of concept that if you roll the dice enough times, eventually you'll get the role that you're looking for. And each, kind of like to your point, each platform that you post on
is a different dice.
That's a new roll of the dice. And if you know, there's things that you can do to stack the odds in your favor, like understanding the psychology of why people stop scrolling on Twitter versus the psychology of why someone stops scrolling on YouTube.
Exactly.
And also the two different types of people that might use those, like, I like you can kind of sort the people you know into what platforms they like to use the most, and like it's bad to like stereotype, but like there are certain groups of people that gravitate more towards different sites.
Yeah.
And so you can stack the odds in your favor by
people change.
Being aware of that.
People change their attitude. Like you may post the same video on Twitter and YouTube, and it might be seen by the same person, but the way they see it changes depending on where they are. Because on YouTube, maybe.
So yeah, a lot of people pigeonhole themselves.
Yeah,
I used to pigeonhole myself into. And honestly, it was the Jetpack Race piano solo that really changed my mind.
Yeah, I'm glad you put it out because that was a banger.
And because I mean, to anybody watching who doesn't follow me, basically, I only posted on YouTube, and I got sick of all the other sites because I would post stuff on these other sites and it wouldn't matter at all. And I can see on YouTube, that less than 1% of my clicks or of my YouTube views. Less than 1% of those come from Twitter. Less than 1% of those come from Instagram. So I just said, fuck it. I like if those sites aren't helping me, I'm not going to post there. So I stopped rolling the dice. I stopped posting at all on those websites because I felt like they weren't helping me at the time. And then I was bored one day. I was working on my Starship Velociraptor album. It was probably late at night. I was getting a little bit whatever, the way that I get when it's late at night. And I was like, you know what? I'll post this on Twitter.
Yeah, and you just caption.
I'll post this piano solo, and I expected that it would get maybe 20 retweets because that's what most of my stuff gets. But again, like what you're about to say is that I kind of like, I kind of I tricked people into stopping their scrolling by saying, what genre is this?
Yeah,
and then they want to see what the fuck I'm about to play on the piano, so that they can try to. Yeah, and you know, I didn't think much about it. That was just my YouTube clickbait instincts putting that caption down and forgetting about it, because that's just when I write a caption for social media, I have been trained by my career to do stuff like that and think about what the most clickbaity caption is, and I rolled the dice and it worked.
Yeah, it blew up like fucking crazy, and because it's so fucking good, and it's also it's a beautiful performance, but mostly it's just,
thank you, man.
You know, it's like people saw a simple question and a video under it. The problem of people posting stuff outside of YouTube is they try so fucking hard to make sure that you watch the YouTube video. Don't. Just think of it as an independent piece of content. If people want to know where it's from, which they probably will, then they're going to find the YouTube video for sure. They're going to ask you, is there a YouTube video? So the best thing you can do is post your content online. If you post it on Twitter, post it, but write a very short tweet. Don't write, oh, this song I made this, blah, 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 Persona, blah, and then here's the link. If you want to listen to it, here's the link to the album. No, just say Persona 5, but it's funky.
Yeah.
That's it. TikTok, I still don't know exactly how that works, but every platform is different, but treat every platform as its own world. And then under the post, if you want, you can add the link, but not in the title. That's always bad because the platforms don't like when you try to promote other places. Yeah. And that's all.
And it's all, again, like it's all just human psychology.
Yeah.
It's all just, how can I trick someone into stop scrolling?
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's do another question, because
we got a little long-winded.
Yeah,
on that topic.
I think we did like 5 together or something, and man, I'm sorry for the person who's watching this. Like, man, I just wanted to hear one reply to one question, and now they're talking for 2 hours.
Yeah,
sorry. That's something we talked about. But someone asked, in an online world where everyone just wants you to do a cover of the same songs that everyone else is covering at the moment, how hard is the pressure to write and produce something that you really want to do?
There's no pressure at all. In fact, it's the opposite.
Yeah,
people are pressuring me to cover the same songs that everybody else does.
Yeah,
So I have to go against the pressure to do something that isn't a cover.
How was it when you released Starship Velociraptor? Like, did you see, like, what was the response you saw? Like, did you, versus what you expected?
The response has been great. The response has been, I think, better than I expected, which has been good. But, so, you know, and I think the important thing, here's what I'll say. The people who are listening to it all seem to love it.
Yeah.
And I'm getting a lot of comments where people are saying that there aren't any songs that they don't like on the album. Like, that's a comment that I'm seeing a lot, is like every single song is solid.
Yeah.
And a lot of people seem like really surprised that there aren't any songs that they don't like, which is like one of the best compliments that you could get on an album. So I'm very grateful for that. So the response from the people that are that do know about it is great, but there are a lot of people who still don't know about it.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people who subscribe to my channel who
they have no fucking idea.
Either don't care or they don't know because YouTube hasn't shown them. So yeah. Well, either way, there are definitely some people that only subscribe to my channel for because they want to hear their favorite anime song sung as a rock song by a dude with a low voice. And there's no sense in me being unrealistic or whatever about, like, that's just a fact. There are some people that only come for that. So the biggest challenge is how, again, it's the same thing. How do I get people to stop scrolling to listen to Starship Velociraptor? But the people that have stopped scrolling, almost all of them like it, which I think is really important.
I saw many comments from people who like seem to be musicians, or people who really fucking appreciate music for what it is. So
yeah,
it seems like it's attracting the attention of people who really understand the quality of music, kind of.
Definitely.
People were asking how long it took you to write the album. Was it like years?
I was writing it off and on for a couple of years. Yeah, there were, but I mean, it was weird, man, because like, some songs, it was like this kind of snowball effect for each song, where I would have just an idea for one melody and like one little tiny chord progression during a chorus or something, or a verse. And then I would just sit on that for a long, long, long time, and I would like build outward from that, and then I wouldn't like it, so I would come back to just that one idea that I really liked, and then I would build out, and then finally, after trying to build out from this idea like 5 times, suddenly the whole song would just get done in like a day after trying several times over the course of months and months.
So it was really a labor of love.
These
like
ideas.
You really, really wanted to do it right.
Yeah, and I really did not settle up until right before I released the album. Like the first song on the album, Glory or Gold.
Man, that's a fucking banger. Jesus Christ. I love that song so much, man.
Thank you, man. That arpeggio.
Yeah.
That first arpeggio wasn't in the song until like 2 months before the album was done.
Wow.
Like that, like imagine that song, for those of you that have heard the album, imagine that song without the arpeggio.
Completely different.
It's like not even this, you can't, it's not even the same thing anymore. And like, I almost cut the song from the album, and then I was like, nope, this needs a riff. This needs a melody to just start it and just pump the gas right from the beginning. And there were a lot of moments like that on the album where I would have a song that would be in the same key for the whole thing, and I would say, this doesn't take you on the journey that I want it to take you on. So I would go back and I would rebuild, and I would usually in the pre-chorus I would do a bunch of shifting around to try and have the song do this cycle through from one key to the next key, then back to the original key. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot about how to do that because I knew how to do it, but I hadn't ever really written. I knew about the techniques of how to use secondary dominant chords for music people, stuff like that. I knew in theory how to use those things prior to the Starship Velociraptor album, but I hadn't written very many songs that actually did it. So it was a huge journey for me as a composer to actually sit down and apply these techniques that I had been discovering.
That must have been incredibly fun also to do. You know, and recently I'm like, oh
yeah,
my
man,
God, it sounds so good. Oh fuck, you know, like, and also like, was it hard for you to like? Did you have this thing where you felt like, oh God, I need to publish it as soon as possible? Was it hard to keep it all for yourself, or no?
No, I knew that I had to take my time.
You were just enjoying the process.
I knew that it had to be perfect because it had to be the antithesis of my cover songs. It had to be the opposite of what I do with cover songs. And what that means is there's no deadlines, there's no weekly video, and there's no cutting corners. We do it right. We take our time because that's the opposite of what I do on the covers. And from the very beginning, I knew that I wanted this project to be the exact opposite of what I do.
So you're going to follow that up with more albums, like done in the same fashion?
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
That's so good to hear.
Yes.
I hope we can hear some jazz.
Yes.
How did you come up with the name Galactikraken? That sounds like a Magic the Gathering card, like green, blue Galactikraken.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, I was hearing a lot of songwriters that were, that I feel were have reached a dead end with their lyric writing, especially. This is part of my inspiration for the album, and I've studied lyric writing for a long time, and this is something that I get very heated about. I think that a lot of songwriters, especially in the past 20 years, have gotten really comfortable writing songs where the chorus is, I won't give up the fight, I'll make it right.
Oh, God.
Tonight.
Oh, man, tonight, all the fucking time.
Like, yep, it always ends with tonight.
Why
like,
does
you know
it
what I
always
mean,
sound
though?
like that?
Because people don't want to work hard to write their lyrics. They want to write the first thing that comes to their head, and it feels bad to edit your lyrics. It feels bad to take when you're drunk or you're smoking weed and you're writing lyrics and you feel like a rock star and you're in the zone and you start writing down on your notepad or whatever and you're with your boys and you're writing a rock song. It can be really frustrating to critique your own lyrics once you've written the first draft of lyrics. And I think a lot of songwriters and lyric writers just kind of give up and settle for the first thing that comes to mind.
I see.
And what we're left with is people rhyming the easiest words. That's the biggest thing for me is rhymes. Like, I'll find a way. I don't have any more to say. Just one more day. The price I pay.
Yeah.
It's that sort of thing. And so part of my whole mission statement from the very beginning with the album is that I'm not gonna do that. In fact, I'm gonna write songs about fucking laser pirates in space and dinosaurs.
Best band in the universe.
Right, because it's like, what better way to test the limits of yourself as a writer to write about something stupid? You know what I mean? Like if you can write a song about something stupid, but it's so good that you don't think about how dumb it is.
Yeah,
I feel like that's such a cool challenge because anybody can write a cliche love song that uses the same 4 chords. Anybody can write an edgy teenage, my parents don't understand me song with the same 4 chords. Like, we've done that. Like, you're not impressing me by doing that. Let's move on. I mean, love songs are fine. My parents don't understand me songs are fine. Those are fine. I love a lot of songs that are like that.
Yeah, obviously.
But
you want more.
But just like what we were saying, it's like, you're never going to be better at doing Linkin Park than Linkin Park was.
Yeah.
You know? Don't try to just do what Linkin Park did, and don't try to be the next Linkin Park, because you won't be. Don't try to write the next, the next poppy mid-2000s love song, because we're past that.
Yeah.
We're over it. Like, that time is done, and you're never going to write a better, It's like, sure, try it, do it, learn about it, research why Linkin Park is so good at Linkin Park.
Yeah, but then
research
add more
why
if you want to expand the concept of music and
so,
want to have fun.
Yeah, that was like my mission. So I just got so frustrated because I felt like, with my own original music, I felt pressured to make angry rock songs about how my parents didn't understand me.
Mm-hmm.
As a rock singer, I felt a lot of pressure from the culture around me to just go with the easiest route and the path of least resistance and make the song that you would expect me to make based on what I've covered, based on my singing style. I felt, even if nobody tried to do this, it was this subconscious peer pressure where I felt like, well, Jonathan Young is probably going to release a rock album that sounds like Breaking Benjamin, because that's what Jonathan Young kind of sounds like. And I finally snapped. I was like, no, fuck that. I'm going to do what I want.
When was the moment that happened? What did you have a defining moment or something that happened? I have a very dark story for me, because I went through kind of similar thing with when I used to make trailer music, which is amazing. People who make trailer music are great. My friends who work in that field, so fucking talented.
Yeah, I listen to I listen to Two Steps from Hell all the time.
Yeah, okay, so Two Steps from Hell, they're fucking amazing,
yeah.
But they're the creative trailer guys. They're the ones who just do whatever the fuck they want,
Yeah.
and then the rest of the industry is like,
Yeah.
hey, Two Steps from Hell did that, so we need to do it as well. Everyone else, it's kind of imitating, and
I believe it.
Because you have to, create hype for a movie for people, and you have to create something that...
Yeah, there were some specific moments for me like that, but I don't want to explain it, because I would have to name names of bands and artists that pissed me off by being really lazy with their writing, and I don't want to. I don't want to start any drama.
You were like, you were the chosen ones, and you gave in to the dark side. Fuck, that was...
Yeah, I listen to a lot of artists who I feel like they just wrote really lazy music that was just the least effort possible.
Yeah.
And then they acted like they poured they poured their entire soul into it. And it's like, well, learn some more chord. If you're going to say that you poured your soul into it, then make me feel something that I didn't already feel from 3 Days Grace in 2007.
Shots fired. I
love the reason I say 3 Days Grace, I'm actually working with Neil from 3 Days Grace on a project right now, and I love those guys to death. 3 Days Grace is amazing, and that's why I'm kind of using them as an example.
Yeah. No, I mean, shots fired to I feel like people who are imitating them.
Right. It's like 3 Days Grace really set the bar. They really set the bar for angry rock music that is modern. And I feel like they're a tough act to follow. And if you want to do something similar to that,
you can't never be better than them. In the same
way.
It's
not that you can't be. Yeah, in the same way.
No, in the same way. Yeah.
Don't just be a watered down version of 3 Days Grace.
Right.
Because why would I ever listen to you instead of just listening to 3 Days Grace if you're just a diet 3 Days Grace? Anyway, I want to hear your story about your...
Well, my story, man, it's fucked up, but trailer music is amazing. It's good for money also, because you're working in Hollywood. It's good to go to a cocktail party and say, hey, mate, what do you do? Have you seen that movie? Yeah. Oh, I made the music for the trailer. And the girls are like,
Yeah.
oh my God, wow. And the guys are like, yo. And yeah, it's great. But it's a style of music where you have to cater to thousands of people of all kinds. And that means it needs to be as, sometimes it needs to be not very challenging creatively. It needs to do something, something that people can understand, and it can be standardized very heavily. And dude, it was very hard for me after a while. I lost all my passion for music, but I didn't want to admit it to myself because I was like, hey, this pays the bills. This is cool. People approve of it. And my friends working in this are fucking amazing and blah, blah. And there's this community that I have. So I felt like if I abandon that, I'm going to lose everything, you know? So the thing that was initially my saving grace became the thing that oppressed my creativity. And I didn't want to admit it to myself at all until eventually I got so fucking depressed that, oh man, I hope this story doesn't offend anyone because it's so fucking stupid. And it's there's people who struggle with this. I'm not going to explain it in detail on a podcast. I'm going to get canceled or something, but just to say it broadly, I had a reason to think that probably like there was something on my body that looked a bit ominous. And you know when you have something like, oh, my nose hurts, let's ask Google what it is, and it tells you, oh, you're about to die, you know?
Oh, yeah.
I had something that was kind of like ominous, and I was like, oh, this could be something that kills me, actually, in a few months.
Yeah.
Or it can be something that is very light. I'm going to go get it checked, and they're going to tell me what it is, if I should worry or not. And in that period where I had this ominous sign, there was a part of me who hoped that it was going to be deadly. Because I was like, if this thing that I have is deadly, and I go there to get it checked, and they tell me, you're going to die in 6 months, I have the permission to drop trailer music and do whatever the fuck I want. And when people ask me, ask me, why the fuck are you dropping this music? It's so successful and it's so, it's because I'm dying in 6 months. I just want to do what I want to do.
Yeah, you wanted an escape route that badly. Yes. It makes sense.
I don't
think that. I don't think that would get you canceled, man. I think that that's just. It's really draining.
Yeah.
To be an artist trying to work in a industry that just treats us like dollar signs.
Yeah.
You know? And depression is real, man. Like that is, and artists don't want to talk about it because when we're making money, we feel like we can't complain because why would you complain? You made it.
Yeah.
You know?
And also like,
but making it like, even if you make it financially, that doesn't mean that the process of making it is healthy.
Yeah.
You know, that doesn't mean that
it can bring you to a nicer place, but then maybe you want to go somewhere else. Trailer music, again, is fucking amazing. Maybe someday I'm going to even do it again. But I wanted to do more. I wanted to go beyond what I was doing at the time. And I felt like it was going to be the most stupid thing ever if I suddenly stopped and started a YouTube channel, which I did eventually.
Yeah.
I felt people were going to talk shit about me, which they did. I felt people were going to be like, oh my God, what the fuck? Oh, and
well, and now there's kids that are discovering the beauty of experimenting with music through the videos that you're posting.
And that makes me feel so
and
great.
They're discovering like, oh my God, I can take this melody and this chord progression from this song that I love, and I can like tell a different story with it by understanding this language and changing some of these parts around. And I think that's like that's big, man.
It's it really means a lot, like to that you say that, because it's something that I wanted this whole time, and I kind of lost sight of it when I made so much trailer music every day. I forgot that, hey, I'm actually making music because I want to inspire people, not because I want to sell movie tickets, which is fine.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, is that's why they're paying you, is because they want the trailer that your music is in to get as many hits as the Captain America trailer. So they're going to tell you, we need something that sounds like Captain America. We need generic superhero, good epic win music.
Exactly.
It's
And
like,
again, nothing wrong with that.
It's
but
stupid.
You need to understand as a creator of what you care about, and you shouldn't be afraid of embracing it. Like you embraced your own style despite people being like, oh, you have long hair or a deep voice, you have to do this. It's like, no, I'm gonna do my own thing, you know? So that's a very beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Okay, man. I think I have to let you go. We've been talking for like 2 hours, and I think we can still keep going, but
it's all good, man. If you wanna do like a lightning round of questions, I feel bad that we only got to like 3 questions.
Okay,
I
let's
do
see.
Some really quick.
Let me check.
Really
which
quick
ones,
answers for you.
Just in steps. What does your songwriting process look like? Just steps, quick steps.
I always start with the thesis statement of the song. I always write like the payoff of the chorus and the melody and the chord progression, because they're always connected. I always write them kind of together, and then I build out.
If you could meet 2014 Jonathan Young and tell him about some mixing or recording techniques you know now, what would you tell him?
Smash the compressors.
Really?
Smash all of the compressors. Yeah.
Like smash as in like destroy them or use them?
Crank them up all the way. Yeah.
Okay. What's the most useless piece of gear you've indulged yourself on? Useless.
None of them.
Really?
They're all useful in my heart.
Do you have a lot? Are you a gear addict?
No, I'm not a gearhead at all. I bought like some plugins. Like I bought like a virtual flute plugin or something that I've never used. Stuff like that is fun, because I don't buy physical gear. I buy digital MIDI instruments.
You're a composer, Jonathan.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. Okay, what's the piece of gear or software that ended up being the most valuable that you were surprised by?
The CLA 3A compressor. I use it on almost everything.
How many unfinished projects are sitting in your projects folder, and why are they sitting there?
I have dozens of ideas for the next Starship Velociraptor album. Some of them are almost done, like fully produced songs, and some of them are just like one line. And then I barely have any unfinished covers.
It's amazing that you have like even files with one line. It's like you save everything. You're like that meme.
Well,
like
I won't do everything, but like I'll start recording and just play like 2 bars and sing like 2 bars of an idea for a stupid song.
Do you struggle with writer's block at all?
I think that writer's block is people give up as soon as the song stops feeling like it's getting written quickly. People stop, and they feel like they need to go and hike in the mountains before they can write again. And I do the opposite.
I feel called out.
I do the opposite. When I feel like I can't come up with ideas, I'm like, okay, well, I'm not leaving this chair until I finish.
Oh, fuck.
I'm sitting here, and I'm just going to keep going. Maybe I'll take a break. Like, I'm not stupid. I'm not going to, whatever. I'm not going to starve myself or something because I can't come up with a rhyme. But, like, I'll literally, like, when I can't come up with ideas, I'll just, like, keep going and just force through it.
That's amazing. So. I should do that more. Which one of your original songs was the most fun to work with? Work on, rather. And which one of your cover was the most fun also?
Probably Settle It with a Sword Fight. Was probably the most fun that I think I've ever had doing an original song. It's that MIDI guitar solo. That's all.
I saw a guy that played virtual. It for real on Twitter.
Yeah.
So people
writing that MIDI guitar solo really. I kind of used to beat, like, that was one of the first songs I did on the album, and I used to beat myself up about how, well, I can't play guitar very fast, so I'm not allowed to write music with fast guitar because that would be lying, because I can't play it. And that was the song where I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna write the stupidest guitar solo ever, and nobody can play it.
Well, maybe people didn't even realize it was like VST probably.
Yeah. A lot of people don't realize. Favorite covers, probably the Skyrim theme.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that because I really like that one.
My favorite. Yeah.
Okay. What would you be if you weren't a musician?
Sad.
That's not a valid answer, John. No, like, is there another job you would do? I think psychologist. Probably. No, I don't know actually.
I'd probably be a writer. I'd probably write novels.
Oh yeah, you're big on like Magic the Gathering and stuff. What is your favorite thing about Magic? Are you like do you like it for the competitive side, or are you more invested in? Oh yeah, to the competitive side.
I was the highest ranked Magic Arena player in the world for a couple of hours.
Bro, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Did you have to make a specific deck for that, like a red deck that goes very fast or something?
Yeah, I had. I mean, it's to me, Magic the Gathering is like, it's like a mix between poker and chess, except instead of the pieces, it's fucking dragons and knights. So it's like everything that I like. It's like a super strategic competitive game that's really analytical, like chess or poker. But it's also just awesome. Just like, instead of boring poker cards, it's dragons and shit.
It's fucking dragons. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, man, I think I should really let you go now. But this was an amazing, amazing chat. And
yeah, great talk, man.
I could have gone on a long time, but I want to make this digestible, and I want to make you go to bed.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of fun, and it would be like amazing to like. Eventually, when the day comes that I come to America, it would be nice to meet and chat.
Yeah, definitely,
man. Person or something like that.
100%.
And also play some Magic the Gathering maybe someday. But you're gonna fucking crush me because I'm not.
Well, I play on Arena all the time. So if you decide you want to play online, let me know.
Yeah,
and
that'd be cool, man.
Yeah, man.
Okay, guys.
Yeah, it's 100% pleasure talking to you, man. It's good to finally get to actually talk face to face.
It was beautiful. Thank you so much.
Man.
Guys, check out the album Galactikraken and Jonathan Young. Galactikraken, which is a band that's definitely not invented, right? It's a real band.
It's definitely a real band from the future, and it's not just band. Me pretending to be. I don't know what I was thinking by saying that this was all me. It's not.
It was wrong.
It's definitely a real band from the future, and not
Starship
just me.
Velociraptor. Check it out. I think it's a freaking masterpiece of music.
Thank you so much,
glad.
Alex.
I'm so proud of you for making that album, man. On top of all that you've done, and for being this force that keeps on trying to go forward and is a visionary. I always knew that there's more in you that people see, but after this chat, I'm like, yeah, he's one of the Elon Musks of music, and you're a composer. I know for sure we're going to see you do so many different genres in the future as well.
We'll see.
We'll
see.
I know you're gonna snap so many times.
My anger at the music, the social media culture definitely fuels me to snap and do all sorts.
I would call that passion.
Yeah,
I don't think it's like
that, man.
I don't think it's just anger. I think it's just there's more.
Yeah,
and you wanna get that. So thank you for doing that on behalf of all the composers and musicians in the world who are trying to do something cool with their stuff. And that'll be all for this podcast. We'll see you guys another time. Bye-bye.